First, I would like to begin with a disclaimer. I have chosen to come forward anonymously to protect my mental health as well as my family. I have also made content on social media on and off over the years, and I would never want to use the situation to gain clout. This incident has been weighing on my mind for the past 7 years, and with this piece, I hope to illuminate what a survivor of assault goes through, as well as warn women to be careful around this particular man. I was a junior in high school and 17 at the time. I had big dreams and hopes. I was exploring colleges, writing essays, taking the SATs. I was sitting in an informational session for the University of Miami with my best friend. That's when I received a message on Facebook. It was a boy. He was 19, not too bad looking, and was looking to start a conversation. So I did just that. I started a conversation. In my mind, we began quote unquote talking. But in his mind, he was planning something far more sinister. Let's skip ahead to the day of the assault. I've been talking to him for a while at this point. He asked me if I wanted to come over and chill. This is the part that most embarrasses me. In my 17-year-old mind, in my 17-year-old mind, I interpreted this message as we were literally going to hang out and get to know each other. I was a virgin, I was sheltered by my parents, and I always made the assumption that most people have good intentions. I know girls get raped and killed by both strangers and people they are familiar with, but statistically that rarely ever happened. And of course, it could never happen to me. It is so embarrassing how naive I was and the mental backflips I did in my mind. It's not like I haven't been alone with a boy I was quote unquote talking to before. Things would things would only go as far as I wanted them to. Once I pulled away, moved their hand, or just flat out said no, they would always stop. Always. I pulled us to his house. He greets me with a smile and a hug. We sit on his couch and begin watching TV. I can't recall exactly what was on television because I was more interested in him. He kisses me and I kiss him back. He asks if I would like to see his room, and I said sure. We walked up the stairs and I took a seat on his bed. I was a little surprised that there was no TV in his room because I thought we were going to be watching TV. We begin kissing. I'm fine with that. He begins to touch my breasts. I'm also fine with that. His hands travel down my body, trying to enter my panties. I move his hand away. He stops and he goes, "Are you a virgin?" I said, "Yes." He then replies, "Oh, so you don't want to have sex? Are you waiting until marriage or something?" I respond, "No, I do not want to have sex with you. And yes, I'm waiting until marriage to have sex." He becomes infuriated and barks at me. "Well, you can get out." I was shocked. This boy that had been sweet talking me had flipped the switch and had gotten extremely aggressive. The anger in his eyes both scared and confused me. What did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? I kept looking at the door and looking back at him, my anxiety building. I was so frightened and anxious by the way he had spoken to me that I couldn't move my body. I kept thinking, just leave, just leave. My legs wouldn't move. In that moment, I realized I didn't know who I was dealing with, and it frightened me even more. Whatever my next move was, I had no idea what his reaction would be. Could he hurt me? He moves closer to me and begins kissing me, pushing me onto the bed. I'm finally able to muster up the courage to say again, "I do not want to have sex today." He ignores my words and we begin to wrestle in his bed. He keeps trying to pull my underwear down and attempting to insert his penis into my vagina. I fight him and pull my underwear up multiple times. Then suddenly he decides different. Then suddenly he decides on a different approach. He flips me over on my stomach and he begins to sodomize me. He had done it so fast I didn't have time to react. I would have swatted him away. He had already penetrated my body. The damage has been done. I felt my body go limp and I stopped fighting. I stared at the wall. I kept thinking to myself, I told him not to. Why is he doing this? I shouldn't have come here alone. Maybe I deserve this. It should, and I should just take it without complaining. When is he going to stop? This is extremely painful. He leans into my ear and whispered, moaned for me. I cringed. The assault goes on for what feels like forever. He finally gets off of me and smacks my ass and goes, oh, you're a freak. I'm silent. I feel sick to my stomach. I look down and see drops of blood and I panic. I pull my underwear up. I looked at him and asked, can I please use your bathroom? He said, why? I stared at him with a confused look. He goes, fine, it's downstairs and to the right. I get into the bathroom and pull my underwear down. Blood was dripping out of me much more intensely. It was covering my underwear. I took toilet paper and stuck it in my underwear. I needed to go now. I felt extremely panicked, but he didn't seem to notice, or maybe he just didn't care. I walked to the door. He asks me, do you want me to walk you to the bus? I responded quickly, okay. No, I did not want him to walk me to my bus stop. I just didn't want to upset him. He goes, nah, you know what? You can walk by yourself, and slams the door in my face. I began walking to the stop. My mind was racing. I was having trouble concentrating. I kept thinking it's fine. That can't be rape. He told you you could leave, but you were so scared and weak you didn't get up. But then I thought to myself, I told him multiple times that I did not want to have sex. Why would he think that it's okay to begin wrestling me and pulling my panties down when I kept swatting his hand away and flat out said no to sex? I waited at my bus stop. A bus came, I got on, and for some reason it felt like everyone on that bus's eyes were on me, like they somehow knew. I could still feel the blood leaking out of me as I took a seat in the front. I looked down, lost in my thoughts. A few stops later, I realized I was so distressed I had gotten on the wrong bus. I quickly got off. I didn't have any more bus fare, and now I had to walk to my family member's home. I began crying. I was in pain and I had to walk a long distance. I was trying to understand what had just happened. I was trying to understand why he treated me the way he did and why I reacted the way I did. I kept thinking I must be really fucked up in the head. Why couldn't I move my body? At that moment, I had realized I had made a mistake. I did not know that boy well enough, and I did not know what he was capable of. I was hoping in situations like this, where I was frightened, I would gather my courage and run, but I disappointed myself. I froze. I didn't know what to say, and my legs would not move. What is wrong with me? I finally arrived to my destination. I see my cousin. We begin chatting. She makes me forget what just happened for a moment, but then I went to the bathroom. Even more blood was there. I stuffed more paper in my underwear. I kept thinking, what should I do? I think I was just assaulted. Should I go to a doctor, the police? Then I would snap at myself and say, no, it's fine. It's not that serious. It's fine. My father picked me up from my relative's home and drove me back to my home. I immediately went into the bathroom. I looked at the underwear now soaked in blood and fluids. This is evidence, I thought. No, it's not evidence. It's a reminder of what happened. I need to get rid of it. I bolted up and threw it in the I bolted up and threw it in the trash can. I took a long hot shower. I told myself, just don't think about it. It's fine. I'll never see him again. I'll never talk to him again. You're fine. The next day I was hanging out in Queens Center Mall. In the food court with my friends, hanging out was a great distraction. I didn't have to think about anything hard or sad. I could just sit there and laugh and pretend that my mind was free. I felt my phone vibrate. I reached into my pocket and checked my messages. It was him. He sent me a message. My heart began to beat so fast, it felt like it was about to jump out of my chest. He wrote, "How's your thing doing?" I had a lot of emotions in that moment. First I thought, my thing? Question mark. What is he talking about? Is he talking about my body? The way he forced himself into me caused me pain and made me bleed. Is that the thing he was talking about? Then it hit me. Either he knows that what he did was dead wrong and wanted to ease his guilt, or maybe he had no clue about what consent meant and thought we would go on to have some kind of sexual relationship. For a second, I thought maybe I should write him back. It wasn't that serious, right? That couldn't be rape. But a voice inside of my head said, no, do not reply. Do not reply to this boy. Block him now. So I did just that. I think it was God talking to me, and God gave me a little sliver of strength. Fast forward to my senior year, I was never really a social person, but I was able to maintain a few friendships. I had two best friends that attended my high school. I kept reaching out to them because I needed to talk. I came to find out that I was not as much of a priority in their life as they were in mine. I grew resentful. I needed help and they were always too busy for me. I couldn't stand to be around them. I ended the friendship. I started saying things like I hate people. I had lost all hope in people and I could not trust anyone. For the next year, every time I would see these friends, I would have a feeling of panic rushing over me. I didn't understand why back then, but now I understand why. Every time I looked at them, it reminded me of that day and how they failed me. During my senior year, there were a few girls that reached out to me, wanted to become my friend, wanted to hang out. I could never let my guard down long enough for me to form genuine friendships. I was dealing with this alone, but that's how it's been most of my life. I always had to figure everything out on my own. Finally, after 1 year, I met my college boyfriend. He was the first one I told my story to. I expected him to say, well, why didn't you just get up? This isn't rape. What's wrong with you? That isn't how he reacted. I was shocked. He was very supportive. Over the years, I also confided in my best friend and my brother. Both of their reactions were sympathetic and understanding. I was shocked once again. I realized I was my own worst enemy. I projected my negative feelings about myself that day and how I reacted onto other people. I'm realizing now that I don't hate other people, I hate myself. After some time, I had went to a checkup at my doctor's office. She called me a few days later to inform me that I had chlamydia. I was devastated. I was disgusted. I wanted to hunt him down, punch him in the mouth, stab him in the dick. But instead, I cried and I cried and I hated myself even more. More time passes, and it's now my junior year of college. I believe back then that I had put it behind me until one day I was scrolling through my social media and I saw his face. Great. Now he's a social media quote unquote star. It seemed as if every time I went on any social media platform, his face was there. My anxiety heightened. I kept having paranoid thoughts. I thought I would run into him. What if he was hosting some kind of event on my campus? From then on, any man that I saw that matched his description, I would see him in them. I would always feel an overwhelming sense of panic until they turned around, or they spoke and I realized it wasn't him. This paranoia has been following me for a while. What if I see him in person? What if he says something to me? What should I do? Once I graduated and moved back to my home, Queens, I barely went out. I couldn't risk running into him. The only times I would feel the most confident going out is if someone was there to accompany me. Even to this day, I still find it difficult to go outside on my own, and I've moved many states away from New York. After I started counseling a few months ago, I soon realized that I had a lot of pent up anger. At first, I thought all of the anger was due to my upbringing, but I wasn't angry about that. I began reading more about rape trauma syndrome. It was the assault. I had allowed it to control my mind, my actions, and my whole world. I had allowed it to control my mind, my actions, and my whole world without even realizing it. I'm angry at the world. How can so many people do such shitty things and live with themselves? I know I couldn't stomach it. I'm mad at him for hurting me because I would never hurt him, or anyone else for that matter. So why me? I can't sit here with this anger anymore, letting it destroy me from the inside out. I must release it. I've kept looking for many signs as to whether or not I should speak out and tell my story. I'm now realizing that God has given me many signs over the years. I was just not ready or open enough to see it. After the assault, I vowed that I would never have to speak on it just as long as I never see his face again. Then look what God did. God put his face on my phone over and over and over again. After the first time I had seen him on social media, his popularity eventually died down. I thought, okay, well, I'm not seeing his face anymore, so I'll be fine. But then my feelings challenge blew up, and there he was, living and thriving, while I'm struggling with anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem to this day. I became mad at God and at the world. All my life, I've tried to do the right thing. I've been kind. I don't cheat. I don't lie. I don't steal. But I get heartache and struggle. He is a complete piece of shit, and he gets rewarded with luxury and fame. I've realized now through some counseling that in life, you don't always get everything you deserve, whether you're a great person or a demon in disguise. Sometimes we just get things and have to experience terrible things, but that doesn't mean you deserve it. And sometimes you get an abundance of blessings, but that does not mean that you deserve it. You just get what you get in life and you learn to deal with it, then take control of the things that you can. The one thing I have control over in this situation is my thoughts, my actions, my words. I can use my voice to seek justice and warn other women. I'm disappointed in myself for not being strong enough to contact the police or even go to the doctor on my own 7 years ago. But guess what? I feel stronger now. No more hating myself and no more holding my hurt and pain in. This is going to be the first time that I have ever even spoken his name in 7 years. But I have to say this: Shiggy, you are a piece of shit, a liar, a deceiver, a wolf in sheep's clothing, and worst of all, you're a rapist.